Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ainsley Sutterth, Social Media Training and Development Coordinator with ForRent Media Solutions.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Ainsley Sutterth, Social Media Training and Development Coordinator with ForRent Media Solutions. We'll give everyone a few more seconds to get on the line, and we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much. All right, so it's looking like everyone's coming in. Again, thanks for joining me today as we're going to be talking about digital etiquette and how you can conduct yourself in the online space. Again, if you didn't just get on the line, you're just now joining us. I'm Ainsley Sutterth, Social Media Training and Development Coordinator with ForRent Media Solutions. And last month, we hosted a webinar talking about ways you can protect your privacy in the social space. So today's topic almost kind of plays off of that in regard to how you should conduct yourself online. Just as there are certain ways you should conduct yourself in public, there are certain ways you can conduct yourself online. And for many in the multifamily housing industry, the online space is oftentimes the primary forum in which we interact. Leasing agents, property managers, field reps, customer care, and HR people, this is really for you. Your participation by asking questions is always appreciated and definitely wanted. We have a little bit of a twist today as we're going to be giving away Dave Kirpin's book titled Likeable Social Media, How You Delight Your Customers, Create an Irresistible Brand, and Be Generally Amazing on Facebook and Other Social Networks. Now that's a pretty long book title, but I know it has great tidbits jam-packed in there. We gave one away a few months ago, got some great feedback from that, so we decided to do it again this month. So again, just be on the lookout for that. We'll announce a randomly selected winner at the end of today's session. So be on the lookout again. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started on our session. I want to kick things off by asking if you've heard the term netiquette. Now, like with many social media words, you definitely won't find it in the dictionary. Kind of with our industry, we kind of just like to make up words. And it's not relatively new, but it's relatively self-explanatory. The meaning has certainly evolved since we first began utilizing the internet as a means of conducting business. What we'll do is we'll talk about that as well as 5 components of netiquette and digital etiquette that are valid to uphold in most or all online situations. As always, I'll offer some tips that you can take with you and apply today, as well as some helpful links of some tricks and tips I'll show you as we go on. So like I mentioned earlier, the multifamily housing industry conducts a lot of business and communications online because of the fact that property management companies and properties themselves are located all over the country. This mode of communication is probably not going to change since the nature of our business is pretty fast moving. The online space works well for our industry, and that's why it's vital to have a handle on digital etiquette. We also know and have talked about how our reputations precede us, and in some cases they're not always accurate. While we can't ultimately control public perception of ourselves or brand, what we can do is conduct ourselves in ways that keep consumers and peers from questioning the brand's character. In its simplest form, I think of netiquette as being the manner in which one conducts himself or herself in the online atmosphere when interacting with others. In our industry, practicing good netiquette is essential when interacting with peers and, most importantly, prospects and residents. So Google is the new calling card and resume. Before even meeting and interacting with you, best believe your peers have Googled your name. Now, the same rings true with apartment communities. and resident retention. A prospect will not only use friends and family as a sounding board, but he or she may visit an online review and rating forum to reinforce their peers' opinion. So just be knowledgeable that not only are they Googling you as, if you're a thought leader or an influential person in our industry, they're definitely Googling your property management company, your property, and not only asking their friends and family, but going to online forums as well. It's not only good to search for and monitor your brand online, but searching for yourself is just as informative. So both are vitally important. I've found that most of the results that display at the top positions are social networks I utilize the most and spend a lot of time interacting in. So if I were to Google my name, most times, Twitter, LinkedIn, those type of forums would pop up because I spend a lot of my time interacting on those forums. Now, what you see here is a screenshot of Nadine Green's search results. As many of you know, she's an influential thought leader in our industry, and she's really a go-to source regarding all things fair housing. As expected, her blog populates at the top as a top resource, as well as a link to NAA and her LinkedIn profile. So again, it's a good idea for you to check out the search results that populate when others search your name, just so you can know, what's being said about you as well as what's being said about your brand. So in regard to brand, the same goes. This is for anyone who stakes claim in their brand's identity. These are for community managers that speak in the voice of their brands. Brands are omnipresent on various social networks, and it's important to maintain the brand's reputation across the entire social space, whether that be on a blog, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram. A lot of property management companies are utilizing these networks more oftentimes than not, because it just gives their brand another place to have exposure. So in this example, we pulled the search results of University Village, a student housing community in Ohio. I have used this student housing community many times in these presentations just because they're one of those properties that is always present and always in the know regarding social media. Kim Corey, who is now with us, was with University Village, and she set them up really great regarding their presence on social media networks, Facebook mostly. And so, when you Google them, they rank at the very top regarding their website comes first, and their ad on For Rent comes next. So a huge part of digital etiquette is responding in an appropriate manner to both negative and positive comments. So again, UV does a great job of using the recommendations app on Facebook to respond to their residents and prospects as well. So what we're going to do now is talk about 5 principles you need to put in place in order to not only practice good netiquette, but maintain your reputation and present yourself and your brand as a credible resource. The first principle I want to talk about is simply giving credit where credit is due. Now, this is so important because it's so easy to take information and make it yours in the social space. I mean, simply copying and pasting and using it verbatim, it's very hard to be tracked if you're speaking, but giving credit and citing your sources applies to anything shared or borrowed from a source that did not come from you originally. So that's the only case where it does not apply if it came straight from your brain. In other cases, you really need to source and cite your sources. So, here's a little newsflash. Your online footprint is not hard to trace, especially if it's in writing, blog post, anything like that. People can simply Google that, and you can be caught red-handed. So if you are using another person's verbiage word for word, then quote the original author. Even in cases where content is paraphrased, a best practice is to provide the source. That way, your credibility can never be questioned. Here's another word to the wise. A quick Google search can be your best friend, or it can be your worst enemy, depending on if you've sent or received the information. So again, in the social space, giving credit applies when retweeting, blogging, and posting on Facebook. Also, providing photo credit from an original source is another best practice and a great practice of digital etiquette to implement. This is a diagram that helps you just come to the conclusion if you're deciding you should give credit. We got this via Design Sponge, which is a great blog to visit. But you kind of just start here, and you can just go, just kind of takes you on a ride regarding deciding if you need to give credit or not. So it's very, very simple. For me, I'm a visual learner, so I love to use this. Most of the cases, though, you know if it came from you or if it came from another source. But in case you need extra help, we'll have this link available to you later toward the end. The next point I want to talk about is really just the golden rule. The golden rule works in almost every single case. So as in life, treating people nicely will not only make you the good guy, but it will also attract new followers on a variety of social networks out there. So you see this image is, a kid drew it. So it really starts from a young age of just treating people the way you want to be treated. And we tend to adopt a more fickle nature when operating online just because there's not that person-to-person interaction. You could really be whoever you want to be. And because of that, people are more fickle. They're more, it's more polarizing online. So with that being said, it's best to be consistent when interacting with others to avoid the dreaded mob mentality of people liking you one moment and then shunning you the next. And when this happens, people take on this bandwagon effect. It can really take place with the fuel of just one disgruntled resident who takes to the interwebs to vent. So if this were to happen, what you need to do is find your inner Stephanie Tanner from Full House and say, "How rude," to yourself. But when it comes to responding to your resident or prospect or whoever that disgruntled person was, it's time to put on your property management pants and just deal with it. And the best way is to take that conversation offline. So one way that you can do this is by utilizing Facebook's messaging feature, which is really great for this. I talked about this when I was going through the new timeline layout. And you can always revisit that recording by visiting our expert portal if you're an expert customer with us. But again, people will be people, and people definitely will take to the internet because they can still be anonymous on some type of a level. But at the end of the day, you're still representing your brand. So you can say, that's rude to yourself, but when you're speaking in the voice of the brand as well as your company, it's really you just got to take that conversation offline if it gets to that point. So the next thing I want to talk about, which we're on the third point now, is to say no to spam. It's no secret that everybody hates spam. So when interacting with prospects, residents, and peers, you don't want to be, quote, that guy. You know what I'm talking about, the guy who bombards your Facebook newsfeed or Twitter chats with self-serving content. No one likes that guy. And, you just really don't want to go there. You want people to really respect you and appreciate you on all social media networks because you're not only speaking as yourself, you're speaking for your brand. And although we can't stop Twitter spam from happening, let's just all take a pledge not to be, quote, that guy, because it's not only bad netiquette, it repels your prospects when you're that aggressive, and what it does also is it takes away your credibility in the perspective of your peers. Also, in order to get to know your audience, the fourth thing I want to talk about is really just to read twice as much as you type. So in other instances, we've heard the slogan, listen twice as much as you speak. And I really like to go by that because since, I'm relatively new to the industry, I'm learning so much. So I really take on this point because, you don't know everything. And the thing is, it takes a wise person to know that they don't know everything. And the same applies in the social space where if you don't know everything, then don't act like it. People can definitely see through you. Even online, you can be pretty transparent and people can tell if you're phony or the real thing. So best practice is to read twice as much as you type, especially if you're on a Twitter chat or on Facebook or talking to a resident or prospect. If they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, then refer to another source that does know the answer. So in order to get to know your audience, more time spent monitoring what they're talking about will give you the material that ultimately causes your audience to turn into brand ambassadors. At the end of the day, a resident is a brand ambassador, and we want to boost that retention by making them want to renew their lease and stay with us. So you can do this by reading and observing, again, twice the amount of time that you speak and type. And for Facebook, if you have 30 or more likes on your Facebook business page, visit your Insights dashboard and take a look at the level of engagement your posts acquire. That's a great indication to knowing if you are, whenever you're typing and whenever you're speaking as your brand on Facebook, if you're saying the right things regarding your engagement level. So I have a really important question, guys. Have you ever worn a pair of pleather or polyester pants? And it's okay to say yes, or you can just, quietly say yes to yourself. But making that mistake will leave you with the appreciation that, some things just can't be duplicated or mimicked. Leather is leather, and if you're not for leather, then that's great. But some things cannot be duplicated or mimicked, and that's one of them. And apply this to your online persona and brand. Even a community manager operating a Facebook business page for his or her community can vouch for the fact that with sincerity drives engagement and credibility on Facebook. So again, be 100% authentic. If you don't know the answer to something, then say that. We use this term called flawsome a lot, and what that means is just being awesome, but kind of talking about, saying that you have flaws, because what we're really trying to do is appeal to our residents and prospects who are people themselves. We want to present our brand as being humanistic, and sometimes, brands mess up. Sometimes I'll post as my brand on my brand's Facebook page as myself, but I can say that, and I can say that, I made a mistake, and you move on. That's being flawsome. The next thing I want to just kind of recap in conclusion is really, we talked about not being that guy, the guy or gal lacking in digital etiquette. Now, what we talked about today, these 5 steps we just quickly went over, are simple principles that you can apply when interacting with your peers and prospects and residents online. So trust me, everyone commits a social media faux pas from time to time, even Oprah. Whether it be posting on your brand's page as yourself, which I've done that before, or tweeting in all caps, which everyone hates. Even Shaq had to tweet a friendly reminder to Oprah that her caps lock was on when she was introducing herself to the Twitter sphere. So at the end of the day, don't sweat the small stuff. Just really try to implement these practices and principles in digital etiquette. And again, that flawsome aspect will kick in. And if people know you're credible and people know your reputation can overlook, a little accident or something, that's great, and people know who you are. So that's really what we're trying to push today, is to promote, your upstanding reputation and to become a credible source, and you can do that by maintaining your netiquette. So now I'll quickly talk about how you can implement digital etiquette into your social media routine. What you can do is just really ask questions. That's how you really learn. That's how I learn, especially with social media. There is no really handbook regarding social media, even though I'll share with you a cheat sheet later on of all the social media networks. It's just kind of a learn-as-you-go type industry. And since, many times social media is so fast-moving, many times we expect people just to kind of getting started just to know the ins and outs, but that's not always the case. And I know I've learned why something is the way it is because I've learned the hard way. Again, you just kind of make mistakes. That's that flawsome aspect. But I know that many of us can attest to the embarrassing moment when, again, you post on your brand's Facebook page as yourself, or, you can just do other things that aren't really by the book. But Before, the new voice feature told us we were posting as our page, it was rather hard to figure out. So those are things you can learn as you go, but you wouldn't know that new voice feature on Facebook if you didn't ask. Again, it doesn't hurt to ask questions. There's always someone who knows a little more than you that's happy to help and provide clarity. And this is really important because, again, guys, we're talking as our brand to prospects, to residents, and these are all people that we want to sign leases and stay with our community. So again, asking questions could lead to, a potential prospect becoming a resident because you told them that you would answer that question as soon as possible rather than giving them some bogus answer. A next thing you can do is join a Twitter chat. Now, the best way of learning how to maneuver in the social space is just to kind of immerse yourself and observe. And so in Twitter land, we call observation hovering or lurking. So if you do join a Twitter chat, don't be alarmed when you see that. That's what that means, that someone is just kind of observing and seeing what people are saying. So while you have some downtime at the leasing office, which I know is pretty scarce, but if you do have a few minutes, just open another tab and try jumping on a Twitter chat and sitting in and just kind of observing. Most Twitter chats follow the same suit of participants, first introducing themselves and what brand or company they're with so everyone can get to know one another. And then a moderator usually hosts the Twitter chat. They'll ask questions, allowing time between each question for participants to provide answers and opinions with a hashtag that keeps the conversation in one place. So Twitter chats are pretty fast moving, but if you just really observe, you don't have to participate in the first one, but if you're observant, you'll kind of see how those work, and they're great for networking. In some cases, questions are provided prior to the chat, which gives participants the ability to do some research and have more conversation about the topic. I've found that Twitter chats are not only informative, but they're meant to really help participants build their network of influencers and thought leaders in their particular industry. So those are some things that you can do today. The Twitter chats I like to sit in on mostly are all on Wednesdays. Actually, I'm sorry, apartment chat is on Fridays at 4 p.m. That's a typo. But the other two, brand chat and community manager chat, those are on Wednesdays, and those are great places for you to go and really just observe and see what people are talking about in our industry. Now, brand chat is just marketing in particular, talking about brands in general, but those can be applied to the multifamily housing industry, as well as community manager chat. Now, when I say community managers, I'm talking about the people that moderate online forums, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, blog, any place that a brand is in existence. There's usually a community manager answering questions or interacting with prospects and consumers. So again, it's not super focused towards the multifamily housing industry, but you can definitely observe and take things from that and apply them to our industry. And again, apartment chat is on Fridays at 4 p.m. I'm sorry about that. So as a wrap up, here are some links I referred to earlier. The first is a blog post I wrote on digital etiquette. It's pretty much what we talked about, but I do, if you've ever visited our Your Solutions, our B2B blog, I publish these articles called 5 and 5, and they're meant to give you 5 tips on social media in 5 minutes or less. So definitely refer to that, and we're going to have Courtney share that with you guys to just kind of refer to that if you ever need to revisit these 5 points we talked about today. The second is a diagram on photo credit that I shared with you earlier. It was probably hard to see, so the link for that is available to you, which really just tells you from start to finish how you need to give someone photo credit if you use any of their photos, whether it be Pinterest, Facebook, anything like that. Now, the third is a helpful cheat sheet on heavily used social networks, courtesy of Mashable. Now, this is really great, and I kind of revisit it every time I need to freshen up on any type of social network. They have a cheat sheet, especially with what abbreviations mean on Google+, what circles mean. It really just digs into all of that stuff, so it's really cool. Now, this fourth point doesn't even relate to what we're talking about today, but I always like to keep you guys in the know regarding social media. So Mashable did post an article today on how malware is attacking computers in the form of Facebook notifications via email. So if you've ever had any of your Facebook notifications contact you and let you know that you do have a notification via your email, just make sure that you take a look at this link, because now spammers which we do not like, spammers are attacking us, sending us fake notifications, and if we click on the link, it can really mess you up there. So just take a quick look at this just to make sure that you know what to look out for to protect your identity, which is what we talked about last month. So those are the links I have for you. Hopefully you're feeling equipped and are ready to really just take on the social media space with the knowledge base of the 5 key principles we talked about today. Now, at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I really would just want to show you how you can utilize these points in operating online using digital etiquette, because sometimes you may not know that you're doing something that is not super appreciated online. It's not your fault. Digital etiquette is always evolving. There's always new social networks out there, so there's always different ways that we have to operate on each of those social networks. So again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. What I do want to do is I want to announce our winner of our book today. So I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I believe it's Nicole. It's Nicoelle Wilkes. Nicole Wilkes, you are the winner of our book today. So be on the lookout for that. We'll send you an email just to confirm that you're the winner, and we will ship that over to you. So really congratulations on winning the book. So at this time, I'll take any questions. We have another question that came in. Oh, Nicole, great. You're here, so great. We're glad that you won the book. We have a question that came in regarding Twitter. Now, people are very confused sometimes regarding Twitter chats. They are super fast moving. So if you're new to Twitter, there's different options you have regarding a Twitter chat. You can use TweetDeck or a Hootsuite or something to really just keep up with what's going on. I like to do the old-fashioned way of having up to 3 tabs open with all Twitter. So the new Twitter layout isn't super conducive to having a Twitter chat open with the functionality of responding unless you respond to a certain person. So what I like to do is I like to have 1 tab open of my home page where I can type a tweet. And then the next tab I like to have open is the actual hashtag and the hashtag that we're using to keep all the tweets together. So I kind of toggle between those, and then I might have a 3rd tab open, which is most of the time the moderators' questions that are being sent. So that way you can kind of see what people are. First of all, what you need to say. The 2nd tab is what everyone's saying using that hashtag, and the 3rd tab that we should have open is the questions the moderator is asking. So again, it's a lot, and you don't have to go that route. I just kind of like to do it that way because I can see it all across the board. But again, using a 3rd party is fine too. So I really wanted to keep it short and sweet. I know you guys are short on time, but again, I really appreciate your time. Feel free to chat us in any questions you may have after the fact. I always know that it takes me a while to saturate information, but after that, I always have questions. So again, feel free to ask us any questions. We will be happy to answer those as a follow-up. But at this point, we're going to head out. Again, Nicole, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, but we appreciate your attendance, and because of that, we're sending you the book. So congratulations on that, and everyone have a great day.